Well, good morning. I'm Joe Davidson, founder of Oklahoma Joe's and Barbecue Hall of Famer. Today, we're going to be cooking beef plate ribs at the beautiful Greystone Castle Sporting Club. It's located in Mingus, Texas, just west of Fort Worth, and it's a wild country out here. Cactus, wildlife, birds, fishing. It's a sportsman's paradise. So let's get right into how to cook beef plate ribs. So the first thing I'm going to do is fire my cooker up before I even prep the meat, because it's going to take 15 to 20 minutes to get this bad boy fired up and ready to go. So while it's doing its thing, we can be prepping our barbecue. So the first thing you want to do is take your fire starter. This is wood that's got wax on it, and one little fire starter is powerful enough to light a whole basket of charcoal. So you drop this thing in here, and then you put your charcoal chimney. This charcoal chimney is so big in diameter I could get a lot of charcoal, and that's one of the secrets to great barbecue and steady temperatures, is that you always want to keep plenty of hot coals in your firebox. If you've got not enough in there, you're just going to have peaks and valleys in your temperature. So always start out with a good bed of coals. Then I'm going to add the charcoal to it. And now open your back door and ignite it from the back side. You barely turn it on, push the button to ignite it. You can turn it up to where it's like a prickly pear burner or charcoal lighter. Using this just to light the charcoal starter, that's all there is to it. This thing will be up and going in 15 to 20 minutes. Oh, beef plate ribs are one of my favorite things in the world. The thing I love about them is look at the thickness of the meat on this. The beef plate rib is on the very lower section. Beef back ribs, a little higher, not as meaty. So I love this. The marbling in it's spectacular. And when you cook these things, they're gonna look like pterodactyl bones. So the first thing you wanna do is to be able to remove the membrane. They're a little hard to get off of there. You have to kind of get the tip of the corner right here and barely flip that up with your knife, barely. And that gives you something to get a hold of. I use a paper towel because it helps me grab that membrane and pull it back. So notice how I'm getting my finger underneath it, bringing it all the way across, and peeling that membrane. And it's really important to peel the membrane off of this, because when you put your dry rub on this, that membrane won't let any of that dry rub come in through to your meat. So every time, I don't care what type of ribs, I peel every rib that I cook. Let's do the other one now, okay? Now notice this has got a lot more fat here. That's gonna come off with that membrane as well. Again, get your knife underneath the tip of it, just to get it to come clean a little bit, and then grab it with your paper towel. All right, look at that. So see how clean that is? Don't have to do anything on the outside of it, but always on the inside, peel that membrane. You know, one of the great things about beef plate ribs is that they're so easy to cook and so simple. Once you've got the membrane peeled, you got two ingredients. That's the brisket rub and Oklahoma Joe's original rub. These are the same rubs that have helped me win numerous world championships. Now we've got two sides of this. You notice this is the side we peeled the membrane from. I'm gonna go ahead and apply the brisket rub first. Shake it on there. And again, don't be faint of heart when it comes to this. We wanna put as much on it as will stick to it, trying to cover every bit of it. That one, then follow up with the original rub. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good on those. And I'm gonna apply it to both sides, as liberal as it will stick to it. This one, that side as well. Follow up. And again, I'm rubbing it into it. This side's where all the meat's at, so we want to make sure we really get this coated. The back side really doesn't have that much meat to it. This plate is gonna plump up, and my gosh, you're gonna be shocked how much meat are on just these few ribs here. This is enough to feed 6 to 8 people. So now that's ready. Now let's check the cooker and make sure the fireboxes are all hot and ready to add the wood to, and we'll be ready to start cooking. These are ready to dump right now. So you're always looking to make sure it's at least 70% ashed over. That means there's white on at least 70% of the briquettes. Now, when you dump this, always be wearing your heat gloves because this is hot. Other thing to make certain is that your back damper door is both closed and the damper itself is closed, because when I dump this, I don't want those hot ashes falling out onto my deck or my patio. So I've got my gloves on. You grab it by the top handle, this handle, and dump it in. Now we can add additional charcoal and wood chunks to this to get us a big heaping bed of hot coals. That way we keep even cooking temperatures during the entire cook process. Okay, so we've dumped our charcoal chimney, but I want a bigger bed of coals. Now, that's the beautiful thing about these big offset fireboxes like this, is that I can add charcoal, wood chunks anytime during the cook process, and it's gonna continue to burn and smolder and give me this nice, even smoking temperature. So I'm gonna add about, just 2 or 3 more pounds in there. And those will get going. Now I'm gonna add some hickory chunks to this as well. During this cook of the steak beef ribs, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna use both hickory and mesquite, but I'm gonna start with the hickory first, and then I'm gonna finish it off with some mesquite wood. And place those big chunks in around this, right on the top of those hot coals. Okay, let's shut her up and be ready to put the beef ribs on. The fireboxes are all fired up. We're ready to go. It's so simple. All we gotta do is put these on right now. I first start with the skin side that we peeled down first. We're gonna leave them on there for approximately 2.5 hours before we say, ooh, that's the perfect color on the outside. And that's when you wanna wrap them with foil, because they'll be looking great, but not tender yet. That's when we'll wrap them with foil. So let's go ahead and put them on. Look at that smoke. There's one, and here's the other one. Again, I'm going to be checking this approximately every hour or so to take a look at it. But again, we won't need to really think about wrapping it for about 2.5 hours or so when we get the perfect color. Okay, we're about an hour into it. I've already added a little bit more lump charcoal, but now through the cooking process, I want to blend in that hickory flavor, but top it off with some mesquite wood. Perfect for Texas, I will tell you. So I'm just going to add this in directly to the top of the firebox. And again, I'm just placing these chunks in there so they're gonna burn nice and evenly. One of the things I love about mesquite, besides its flavor, is that typical hardwoods burn off at about 700 degrees. Mesquite burns off at 900 degrees. That's a hard wood. Look at the heart of that. And this stuff grows wild everywhere here around Mingus, Texas. All right, it's been an hour since we last looked at these things, and the reveal is gonna be beautiful, and I think it's time to wrap these. It's been about 2.5 hours. Again, what we're wanting to do is make certain that the outside bark, the color, the bone slip back is all just perfect. That's when it's time to wrap them. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Rip you off several pieces right off the bat. That way they're ready to go. I tell you, I've used so much foil over the years that I could build a Ford truck out of aluminum body with all the aluminum foil that I've used over the years. So I got 4 pieces off of here. We'll be double wrapping them. Now let's grab one and bring it over. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. Now that, my friends, that's a beef plate rib. Whew. Wrap that up. Again, we know it looks great, but we want it to be really basting in its own juices. So when I do this, you notice this was the meat side right here. I'm gonna put it in the smoker first, just like that, okay? But we're gonna double wrap this. Second piece. That way we don't lose any of the juices in that during the final cook process. Again, look at the thickness of that meat and the bone pull back. Where I come from, that's a thing of beauty. Thing of beauty. Wrapping it up this side, flip it over, wrap it up a second time. It's ready to put on the smoker. Okay, we've been trucking along at 250 to 275 degrees. Total cooking time right now, we're approaching 5 hours. What I'm looking for, not necessarily that I've hit the perfect ideal internal meat temperature, which should be in 190, 200 degrees, 205, something like that. Really, all I care about is when those ribs get to where they're completely tender. Like I put my thermometer into it and it's like going into butter. So let's pull these off and baste them, put them back on, and wow, we're gonna be ready to eat some beautiful ribs. Look at that smoke roll. Good, clean smoke. Now we're gonna pull them off, bring them over. You gotta move pretty fast even with those cotton gloves. Let's unwrap these and see what we've got to see. Oh my gosh. Oh, the juice is just thick there. And look, look at that. Oh, I can't eat them yet. So now what we want to do is baste this with barbecue sauce, each one of them, and then we're going to put them back on there and just let that sear and set up on it. I'm going to let my temperature gauge go up a little hotter so that I get more searing action. It's easy to control your temperature. These cookers have got a slide cap damper on the exhaust pipe and a butterfly damper on the firebox. The further you open those, the hotter it's gonna cook. The more you close them down, the cooler it's gonna cook. Typically, to run this unit at 275 degrees with a good bed of coals, you're gonna be about half open on both dampers at that point. So we got this, and you don't even need a basting brush to do this. Just put your sauce on it, rub it over it. See, I've got that on there. And it's just a light glaze. You don't wanna just gunk them up. This is just to put a little caramelization and add more bark to the outside of those ribs. So then that one, now this one. And those, my friend, are gonna be good. So let's put these back on with the meat side down. Oh, I can hear that sizzle. Oh yeah. This is gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes to get them to where they're ready to come off and serve to your guests. All right, the moment we've been waiting for has finally arrived, beef ribs. And I'm telling you, they look spectacular. Look at this. Oh, they're seared. That sauce seared over the top of them. I want you to see that. All right, so as you look at this, we've got 3 bones, but my gosh, we've got a pound or more of meat on every one of these. I'm gonna cut them right down the center between the bones and bring it right through. And that's a side profile. Look at the juice coming out of that, of a beef rib. That's going to be spectacular. Well marbled and just perfect. That's one right there. Number 2, right here. And that's a plate rib for 2, right there. So, voila, Oklahoma Joe's beef plate ribs.